Hey guys, Bob Britt, Bobcat Outdoors here. Hey guys, today one of my subscribers messaged me on Facebook and asked me about how do I build and tie my leaders. So I've kind of covered this before in some of my videos, but I'm going to do a video dedicated just to how I tie my bumping leaders. There's a lot of different ways to tie bumping leaders. Different people do it in different ways, but here's my simple, no nonsense approach to tying rigs up for bumping. Now I've already got one tied up on a bumping rod right here on my Uncle Lou's bumping rod. But as happens over time, these rigs, the leader gets really frayed, and as you get down here to the end of this one, there's a whole bunch of frays in the line, and it's very rough. So I'm going to actually take this Demon Dragon off of here. This is the Demon Dragon Brute Series line rattle. That's all I use for bumping now, and I'm going to rebuild this whole leader right here and record it and publish it in a video just for you guys. So stick around. Okay, right here, guys, is I've collected all the components. I've collected all the components right here that I'm going to need to build this rig. I've got two different types of three-way swivels. You can use either one of these types, but this is the type that I like for bumping. And I tend to get less tangles with this type of swivel versus this type. I actually use this type of swivel for on my anchor rods, three-way swivel, and I always use this type right here for my bumping rig. So I'll put this one out of the way. I just wanted to show you that you can use either type of these rigs. As a matter of fact, you can even use those silly three-way swivels that you get at Walmart. But you'll have to understand that you're going to get more line tangles if you're using that cheap brass three-way swivel from Eagle Claw that you can buy in Walmart. I'm not a brand snob or anything. I just use what works. I get these three-way swivels right here, and these type of ball and chain swivels, I get them from Tackle Bandit, or I get them from Chubby Fish Outdoors. Any of your, pick your favorite catfish supply store, and they should carry this type of hardware. This hook right here is it's a 10-aught, but it's really small for a 10-aught. It's an Angler's Grotto hook, and I buy these off of Amazon. I'm not affiliated with them. I don't get kickbacks, but I really like this hook. This hook stays sharp, and it's got a nice big gap. You can see I can get my big pickle fingers through the hook just fine. And this hook right here, I probably had this on my bumping rod for a month now, and it stays sharp. It still sticks in my finger. It's just a good sharp hook. It's called Angler's Grotto. Look them up on Amazon. Then I'm using Berkley Trilene Big Game monofilament 80-pound leader. I buy them off of Amazon also in a 55-yard spool. And then for my dropper loop for my sinker, I'm simply using Zebco Omniflex 20-pound mono. Anywhere from 12 to 20-pound leader is what you want to use for your sinker dropper, because that is a sacrificial leader, so to speak, for your sinker. And if this sinker gets hung up, you'll want to be able to break it off. So that's why I'm using this 20-pound leader. Nothing fancy about that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with our 80-pound leader. Guys, I do not get overly complicated when tying up these rigs. I don't measure them. I just use the keep it simple, stupid approach to tying leaders. And when I get my 80-pound leader, I'll pull out, say, about an arm's length. Got my spool right here, and then I'll take this arm length bit of 80-pound leader right here, and I'll fold it in half, and then I'll cut it again. And then I'll take it and I'll take one leg of it and I'll cut it one more time. So now I've got two pieces of leader, and after I cut this, I'll have three pieces of leader. I have two shorts and one long. So I've got the second half. I'm gonna cut it again. Now on my first short piece, I'm gonna take my Angler's Grotto 10-aught circle hook. I'm gonna put the line through the hook. I'm just gonna do a easy snell. I'm gonna do about 10 wraps on it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
And then we'll bring it through the back side of the hook, just like that. So now I've got a little short piece of leader, okay? See the end right there? Now, the next thing that's gonna go in the mix is gonna be my Demon Dragon Brute. This is the Dirty South signature Demon Dragon. As far as color goes, I don't know. I don't focus a lot on color. I use what I got. I am sponsored by Demon Dragon, so I use what they send me. I love these things. I would not bump without them. Okay, and I like to put the hook off the tail end, because to me it looks like a fish trying to run away from something. So to me that just makes more sense. Plus I just feel like it's a little more aerodynamic with the current hitting this side of it. So on this right here, I'm just gonna tie a simple fisherman's knot. Do about 7 twists, 8 twists. I'm gonna run that tag in back through there, wet her and pull her down tight, nice and snug. Okay, and that leaves you with about 4 inches of line below the Demon Dragon to the hook. Okay, now I'm gonna take my other short piece of leader and go to the nose of my Demon Dragon. All right, same thing. I'll run that through there. I'm gonna do about 7 wraps. It helps if you can see. Let her down, pull her tight. I mean, I give them a good tug too. I don't play around with it. Make sure it's not slipping. If you got a little tag like that, you can snip it off. No big deal. Now, the next thing, I got this other short piece of leader to my Demon Dragon to my hook. The next part of the build is going to be my my barrel, or my cannonball swivel. Okay, I'm gonna tie this. I'm gonna actually do a tri-lane knot on this one. Tri-lane knot to the swivel. Do about 4 twists. Back through both loops. Pull it down tight. This is not a tutorial on tying knots. There's plenty of other channels out there to get your knot tying information from. I trim off the tag end. Make sure I always take your fingernail, especially on a tri-lane knot. Take your fingernail and put it right at the edge of the knot and give it a good tug. Okay. Now I take my longer leader. I cut the leader into 4 parts, or 3 parts. 2 shorter pieces of leader, 1, 2, and then my longer leader is going to go to the other end of my ball and chain swivel. Again, I'm going to tie a tri-lane knot here. Quick and easy tri-lane knot. Pull it down with my thumbnail. Trim off the excess. And these scissors are duller than snot. Okay, now I've got my hook, my Demon Dragon, my short piece of leader to my ball and chain swivel, my longer piece of leader. And this is very important on this 3-way swivel right here, guys. You want to make sure that you're tying the leader, your leader that you just built, onto the small section of the middle section of my 3-way swivel. So this has got a big loop, small loop. So I want to make sure that my leader is tied to the middle section of the little T right here. So my leader is going to go through here. And again, I'm going to use a tri-lane knot on this. Easy peasy. Wet her, pull her down. Use my fingernail to snug that tri-lane knot up, and then trim my tag off. Like I said, these scissors are super dull, but that's okay. Now what I'm left with is my long piece of leader down to my 3-way. Okay, and now we're almost done building this thing out. All right, now it doesn't matter which side you do this in. You can tie one side of this is going to be your main line from your rod, is going to be your braid, and the other side is going to be your 20-pound sacrificial sinker dropper. So I've already got some pre-tied sinker dropper material here, and simply all I did here is simply take a piece of 20-pound mono and tie a simple overhand knot in it to create a loop for my sinker. And this is kind of important. I'm gonna back up a little bit. I always try to keep my sinker dropper about half of the length of my leader itself. Okay, you can shorten the sinker dropper and you can lengthen the sinker dropper depending on how far off the bottom you want to be fishing. So this is what always works for me, is about the length of my leader, about half or about to where the sinker dropper loop is at about the ball and chain swivel. So here's the ball and chain swivel, and you know, you kind of want your sinker dropper to be about half the length of your leader. Don't have to get real fancy with tying this knot on, because honestly, if you want any part of this rig to fail, you want it to fail right here. You want that sinker dropper to pull off. You know, when you get hung up, you want to be able to snag that. You want to be able to break this part off so you keep the rest of your rig, because all the hardware is on this side. This is the expensive part right here. So you want the sinker and this dropper right here, your sinker dropper, to break off. And I'm not gonna tie the sinker on right yet, but I'm just gonna show you how I do it. I take and I pinch that sinker dropper, and then I take my sinker and I'm gonna slide that sinker loop through the hole in it, and then I'm gonna drape it over. Now, why I like that is because I've got lots and lots of contact. This mono is making lots and lots of contact with the sinker. So the more as that thing is bouncing along and hitting rocks, I get lots of feedback from this sinker up my line to my braided main line. And on my bumping rods, I use 65-pound main line, or 65-pound line. I use a Suffix 832 65-pound main line is what I run, Suffix 832, because it's kind of stiff and it gives you a real good feel and a real good feedback, and it's strong and abrasion resistant. Braid is generally not very abrasion resistant, but I find this Suffix 832, it does a real good job. And that's another reason for running a longer leader too, is when you're bumping like I am in a lot of rocks, you know, the abrasion is being taken care of by this 80-pound mono, and in most cases my braid is not coming in contact with the bottom. Off of one side of my tee, we've got my sinker dropper, and then on the other side of my tee, I'm going to put my braid. So I'm going to tie this on here. I'm going to use a tri-lane knot, and I always tie a few extra wraps with a braid because it does like to slip. So I'm going to run that through there, run it through the eye of the hook 2 times. Leave myself a loop. I'm going to pull everything down, snug it up, my handy dandy pocket knife, and trim off the tag end. So there we have it, guys. We have our main line, our sinker dropper, and our leader tied right here. And we're ready to go bumping now, guys. That's pretty much my bumping rig in a nutshell. It's very effective, it works. Main line, sinker dropper, sinker dropper, chain, ball and chain swivel, demon dragon to a 10-aught circle hook. That's your basic rig right there, guys. A basic bumping rig. Thanks for watching.